Welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thank you for joining us today. And by us, I mean, well, me and Addison in the sound booth today because Dean is off. But so glad that you are here, and I hope you're enjoying some sunshiny weather. It's been a nice change of pace the last couple days. Really quite mild out there. If you look at temperatures, we're only going to be in the upper 60s, pushing 67 degrees today. If you were planning on doing a little gardening and your ground has dried out so you can get out into the soil and dig some holes, plant some seeds. Today seems like a great day to do it. And that mild weather is going to continue through the weekend. You're looking at same temperatures tomorrow, mostly sunny at Sunday. There is a chance of showers Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but only looking at like 20%. So not a lot right now. We have the opportunity to dry out. Hopefully we have a little bit of a breeze. We don't need more than a little bit of a breeze, but we'll get a little breeze, keep things dry, and we'll probably see people back in the field to continue to roll planters, sprayers, and so much more before long. A lot of crop consultants in the region have made mention of the fact that they are also going to be very busy because they intend to get out and scout fields that they haven't been able to get into just simply due to how wet the fields have been for the last couple weeks. Now, that reminds me, I need to send some pictures to Addison because I got some pictures of some really great looking alfalfa. And so, Addison, just be prepared. I'll be sending those to you on our next break so we have a chance to show them in our live stream and then also be able to talk about that fertilizer that went on to them. Weather today, before I got distracted by alfalfa, weather today was brought to you by Progressive Ag Risk Management Specialists. Well, few things in the headline, as many of you are aware. In fact, some of those things to remember. May is beef month. As we head into this Memorial Day weekend, do not be afraid to fire up the grill. Maybe it's just an all beef hot dog. Perhaps it's burgers. Maybe you're getting a steak or going to use that smoker for a roast, a flank steak, a tri-tip, a whatever. Enjoy beef. If you've been following along on our Facebook page, you've noticed that I have been posting recipes for the month so that you can find new ways to enjoy beef. And I've been trying to use things that are field friendly. So if you are in charge of meal service during planting, you have some new ideas, whether it's in the crock pot or the oven and more. You can follow our Facebook page for this show, for recipes and so much more. You can find us, Weather and Ag in Focus, on Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube and Acres TV. That's where you'll watch our live stream and all the things that go on here today. You can send me emails throughout the show, ag@flagfamily.com. And as always, happy to take your phone calls at the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. Glad to have you here being part of our day. Now, another item to keep in mind for May is Mental Health Awareness Month. With a 3-day weekend, some folks are going to get the opportunity to take some time off. Maybe you've had that this week if you've not been in the field. If you are moving pairs out to the pasture, moving cow and calf pairs, this could be your way of taking that mental health break. Just enjoying the fact that you're loading them up, moving them out, checking the grass levels, watching the stock ponds. Whatever you're doing to relieve a little bit of stress right now, take it while you can. Because we know that farmer burnout is incredibly high, not going downhill. It is hard to just look at a farm family and say, well, you guys should take a vacation. When? How? How are we going to work that in? If you can even sneak away for an afternoon, maybe you're going to go off and enjoy a graduation, that will help. It will feel a little less isolating. You get an opportunity to visit with friends, family, neighbors, and so many more. It's hard to get in our physical workouts this time of year unless you're carrying seed bags, unless you've been calving and moving calves around in lots of mineral buckets and other activities. You may feel a little sluggish. Physical activity will help our mental health status, and if we can think of that, it helps us do better overall. Again, May is our Mental Health Awareness Month, and let's not be shy about taking care of ourselves. Now, a couple of things that are going on in the news. First of all right, Addison, I have a headline here. It's called 10,000 Chicks Land in Delaware After a Postal Service Mishap. What kind of chicks do you think they might be?
I just want to know what kind of plane they were on. 10,000, that's a lot of people for one plane.
Well, they're a lot smaller chicks than you think. Thousands of chicks and game birds. I'm talking chickens, Turkeys, geese, quail, and others were accidentally stranded after an apparent misrouting by the U.S. Postal Service. For those who aren't aware, the Postal Service will indeed mail you little chicks. They'll mail them right to you, but 10,000 of them got upended and left stranded in Delaware. These birds were supposed to be heading from the Freedom Ranger Hatchery in Pennsylvania, but something went wrong. So the Delaware Department of Ag got a call a couple Fridays ago from the United States Postal Service Processing Center with an unbelievably big amount of birds. They thought it was just one box. Nope, nope. It was several shipments supposed to go across the country to different destinations. My first question is, how loud was that phone call? Because if any of you have ever been around chicks chirping away in the water tank at at Runnings or at TSC until they get purchased, those bad boys are loud, really loud. 10,000 of them were really loud. Well, I'm so unfortunate, but by the time Delaware authorities were able to get there to help with the rescue, 4,000 birds had passed away. But the other animals were made sure to be vaccinated, taken care of, watered, fed, etc., and have moved on to where they're supposed to be. So, yes, 10,000 chicks got stranded in Delaware, and it's not the kind of chicks you might have thought they were.
How do you? I
I
just
hope that makes.
where
Go ahead.
how in the string of like people do you even like forget that? I feel like that'd be like a noteworthy like, hey man, did you see that box that came through earlier? What's going on? Like there were so many people around that. How does it forget? Where did it fall through the cracks?
Remember, that wasn't a quiet box. Okay, there was a lot of noise happening in there. You thought that would have caught someone's attention
How did it
in the
slip through the
processing center.
cracks?
Oh, you're killing me, Addison. Thank you. But if we're going to stick with All Bad Joke Friday, okay, we're going to take you from the slip through the quacks to we had a couple of chicks out in the field yesterday, and that was myself and Marcia Van Leer with Gowan USA. Gowan USA is one of our Here We Grow sponsors. Marcia and I took to our wheat field to get a little bit of insight on what's going on with the wheat. For those of you who are watching on our live stream, Addison's going to be able to show you some of that video footage. We did have some water standing, but it's not widespread. There are some isolated areas. In fact, on a tabletop flat field, if you can say that there were some higher spots, it was actually starting to gray off a little bit and dry out somewhat. So we had the opportunity to stage our wheat. We had the opportunity to talk about our fertility, our weed control, and then also this was a great spot to think about where our rain gauges need to go and be paying attention throughout the summer season. On Wednesdays, Dean's going to be giving away a rain gauge when we play Wednesday weather trivias all summer long. And if you want to know what that Here We Grow project is looking like, check us out again on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure to check our page as well as WDAY and watch our videos because it's going to be a great year for Here We Grow and it's Wheat 2025. Appreciate you taking the time to follow along and be a part of this project. I think you're going to be excited about it. Now, I do want to ask, we've done a number of new segments and things going on right now within Weather and Ag in Focus. Again, for those of you who have been watching the Here We Grow project, that's one of them. Earlier this week on Tuesday, I had the professional ag ladies. We had representatives there within soils, fertility, such as fertilizer, and also crop inputs like crop protection, weed control. And if that's the kind of things that you like to see us doing, it also include our ag assistant ag directors, our students that are helping us out once a month. Let me know. Maybe you have people that you want to nominate to be a part of those types of segments. Perhaps you have questions for the professional ag ladies that you'd like us to answer, or questions for our wheat field out at Gardner. Make sure you send them to me again, ag@flagfamily.com. I would love to make sure we get those answered in a timely fashion for everybody who's been listening. Part of that Here We Grow project is one of our sponsors, Kotaco Fuels and Propane. And we're going to be joined today in studio by one of the executives, if you will, from Kotaco, and that is Justin Moline. And Justin's actually in studio today. A big thank you to him for holding down the fort while I'm remote and Dean's gone. I bet he's doing a fantastic job. He's probably keeping an eye on Cooper, our little mascot, who's usually there too. So When we come back after the American Ag Network, we're going to catch up with Justin. What's Kotaco? It's kind of a new name in the region. And I'm also going to get those pictures of an alfalfa field loaded up for us so we can talk about that. So stay tuned and make sure to follow along with all the things going on today on Weather and Ag in Focus. Everything on your farm should always run smoothly, and that includes your tech support. If you're looking for someone who can be there for you 24/7 to make sure you're not getting scammed, that your information's not being stolen, and that everything is secure and running smoothly from bin site to feedlot to the home shop, you are welcome to talk to Chris Sherman with Tech Support Farm and check out his new self-assessment tool on his website. It is free and also very useful if you're thinking about cybersecurity insurance. It can help you determine what you may or may not need. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I had a listener yesterday. Mitch sent some pictures of an alfalfa field, and Addison, I'm going to have you put those two pictures up on our live stream for folks to look at. It's pretty lush, and you can see the difference in a pass of treated versus non-treated with fertilizer. So if you are considering maybe helping out your pasture this year, what was done on this particular field, or excuse me, this particular pasture, was total usage is 12 gallons. It was 8 gallons of high NRGN, which is a slow release 4.5 pound nitrogen product. There was 2 gallons of Access, which is a slow release 5 pound sulfur, an additional 2 gallons of a flagship product known as 10 pound phosphorus pro germinator, all powered by the Nutrient technology. And the application was done with streamer nozzles. So if you're wondering what those are, I can explain. Feel free to let me know. And this is all a plant-based carbon liquid fertilizer. You can find out more from agroliquid.com. Thanks for the photos, Mitch. I appreciate that and the opportunity for folks to fertilize pasture more than they might normally consider. Hey, something else you might not normally consider? Kotaco Fuels and Propane. Justin Moline joins us today. And all right, Justin, I feel like Kotaco is kind of a new name in the neighborhood, and I happen to live close to one of your locations. So give us a story. Who are you and where are you?
Oh, is that right? Which location, may I ask?
I live in Hunter.
Oh, absolutely. Great. So what's the story? Well, that's a great question. We've actually been around 11 years. So 11 years we started, believe it or not. So it's been a little while,
Okay.
and I don't know, for better or worse, maybe I like flying under the radar. We kind of maybe take that as a badge of honor, so to speak, or maybe it's because we're naive and we're just not good at self-promotion. I don't know what the what the answer is, but quick story on how we kind of came about is we've been
Yeah.
in the industry for a long time. As individuals, so to speak, and our two main founders have been partners for many years. And the opportunity came to really purchase a business which was called Nicholson Oil in Fargo, if that rings a bell to people. So the Nicholson family, multi-generation business, but they were ready to move on, and we came in and took over for them. And one thing led to another, and we just kept growing. And pretty soon we had to come up with our own identity. Right. So that's when the name Kotaco came about. And where that came from really is we're North Dakotans. So Kotaco is Dakota, comes from Dakota, and we're a Dakota company. So the CO comes from company. Put those together is Kotaco. A lot of people like to pronounce it Kotaco, but it's actually really Kotaco.
You just realized you wrecked me. Now it's
Yeah, I know.
Kotaco forever. I'm
Yep.
so
Sorry about
sorry.
that.
So I know my location, but where are the other locations for folks?
Well, we have, you're talking retail locations, so gas stations, and we have
Right.
8 of those in various
Okay.
various spots, and they're pretty inconspicuous, if I would say. But from Fargo to Hunter to Hendrum to Northwood, North Dakota, Lisbon, Valley
Hmm.
City, and I'm missing a couple. But that's those are our gas stations, and we have many, which is great. We love those, and we're so thankful for these locations. But really, how they came about is in these smaller communities, the local gas station was also tied to the bulk facility, the bulk fuels, the delivery end of our business, and that's really at the heart and soul of what we do is fuel delivery. So those really kind of came along as we continued to grow. So we really stretch from when we talk in our North Dakota area or in this region, we stretch everywhere from Harvey, North Dakota, to the Canadian border down to South Dakota. And if you go east all the way to the border into western Minnesota, we have about 16 different facilities, bulk plants or storage facilities for fuel across that region.
Okay, let's talk just a little bit about bulk plants and so forth because as a farm kid, we remember when the delivery truck would come to fill our on farm storage facilities, and I'm thinking gasoline and diesel fuel primarily. So that's the kind of business that you do, but it's not just that one probably double axle truck that used to haul fuel anymore, right? I mean, you guys are moving some pretty large quantities, especially considering the size and volume in which farmers are buying.
Right, and we've really seen that change over the years, right? Because typically you'd have your in the past you'd have a 500-gallon tank, right? So you'd need that single or double axle truck to come and put 500 gallons in the farm tank. Well, we've really seen those storage tanks really grow up to 10, 20,000 gallons. So, we tailor the truck depending on obviously the size of the delivery. So we run many different types of bulk trucks. Some are 1,800 gallons, some are 45 to 5,000 gallons. But then we also have a whole fleet of semis that we call transports, right? And that carries up to 10,000 gallons. So a lot of farmers these days, we're delivering the fuel out of semis. And that's become much more the norm these days.
Oh, I would say by far that is the norm. And I've got a lot of other questions to go along with this, Justin. Farmers have to have the right storage for on farm. And I want to talk about what that might look like and how you can help. And also, you guys, you're talking propane, which as homeowners with propane heat, that's important to us. And we want to continue that conversation when we return from our news. So don't go anywhere. I have Justin Moline in studio today. He is with Kotaco, not Kotaco. I'm sorry, you wrecked me. I can't get past that now. Kotaco Fuels and Propane, and I'm excited to visit with him about what they do, not only as part of our Here We Grow project, but more importantly, in this region to keep us running. We'll be back. Thanks for joining us on this pre-Memorial Day sunny afternoon. Happily joined by Justin Moline. He is with Kotaco Fuels and Propane. I'm excited that they are one of our sponsors for Here We Grow, which is where we're custom farming our 20 acres of wheat this year. Additionally, Peterson Farm Seed is one of our sponsors as well. And in fact, looking at the field yesterday, I would say we've got a pretty strong crop that looks like it's coming. Well rooted. We're right at about the 1, almost the 2 leaf stage, and soon we'll be joined by their agronomist, Kelsey Pellman. She and I are going to talk about that field, their 3 different varieties of wheat that they're moving, and how that's a change from Peterson's normal lineup. But back to our in-studio guest today, Justin Moline with Kotaco Fuels and Fertilizer. Okay, Justin, if I'm a farmer who wants to expand my on-farm storage, because you mentioned, transports 10,000 gallons of fuel, diesel fuel specifically, but I haven't stored on the farm before. Can you at Kotaco help me? What are the regulations? What do I need to buy for a tank? Can you kind of coach me through that if I'm about to become one of your regular customers?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of a simple yet complicated answer, right? Because there's so many different options, right? So how far do you want to go with your setup? And as we all know, it all comes down to dollars and cents. But anything from tank sizage to the method in which you want to load and unload that tank with product and into your equipment and what that looks like, from tank monitoring systems, inventory controls, all those things we actually can certainly help coach through and connect with the right people to help, get that physically set up. And then one of the areas that we really like to help with is that inventory management. Farmers love to monitor their own tanks, and they love watching markets, as we all do, right? So they like to take control of that. But if someone just wants to say, hey, you know what, this is help us do the best that we can, buy at the best times that we can, and really just have a steady supply of product that we need to keep us moving, then we're your people. We're here to help manage that inventory, keep you full of product, keep you rolling, and minimize those downtimes.
I think that's a big deal right there is if you consider the farm, there are so many things to monitor, right? We just put a crop in the ground. We have to watch for bugs, disease. Do we have enough fuel? Because we've got to run all the equipment this summer and then again this fall. And what if there's a spike in energy? Am I in the right position? But the fact that you would work with me as a farmer to make sure I'm not missing out is huge. And are you able to do the same thing for, say, over-the-road trucking? We've got a lot of folks who haul grain or anhydrous ammonia for farms as well.
Yeah, we actually do a lot of that. And one of the things when we think about, uncertainty in the marketplace, we can help with that too, right? If you think today is a low spot in the market, we can take today's price and look out 6, 9, 12 months, and we can do some fixed forward pricing as well. So we can lock in some of that uncertainty. There's obviously no guarantees when we do things like that, right? But if someone thinks that the price point is good for their fuel, we can help capitalize on that. Or if you want to hedge against some of that risk, there's other means that we can help with that. So not just on the farm, but we actually do quite a bit of that with over-the-road trucking. We do that with construction industry. We do that with many other different industries. And that's great. Price is king, right? We all want to buy the best that we can at the best times and save as much as we can because costs just continue to increase, absolutely. The one thing we really pride ourselves on, though, is our service. So you talked about there's so many things for farmers to pay attention to. Well, we get a lot of those Mayday calls, right? They look at their tank and, oh, shoot, I'm out of fuel. We got to keep going. So we get those Mayday calls and we're jumping on the trucks.
It's not shoot, Justin.
Oh,
they're not saying, oh, shoot.
Darn it. Oh, darn it.
Yes, you're right. But like you said, you're jumping in the truck because you're on your way.
Well, that's true. Yep. And a lot of times we're either on the way or maybe we're not. Maybe they're harvesting in the middle of the night, right? And someone pays attention to it, and we get a late night phone call. Have to go fire up the truck, put fuel on the truck, and get out there as quick as we can. But that's all part of the service that we provide, right? That's all part of going the extra mile, which is part of our core purpose, is really being that number one supplier. That's our drive by going the extra mile. Because the commodity, the fuel, that's the fuel, right? But really what sets us apart is, number one, our employees and how much they care, but the service that they provide to our customers, because that's That's just really what helps us stand out is the idea.
I'm excited that you and I are going to speak a couple of different times over our summer months here. And it won't just be about gasoline and diesel fuel for the farm, but also about propane. So I'm hoping that at some point you're going to give me the magic date of when I should buy my propane for my house because this is your best buy of the year. And you don't have to tell everybody, but you just got to tell me.
Okay.
And when it comes to propane, this summer we are looking at a long-term forecast of a rather cool and rainy June and maybe July. And if that's the case, we've had these years before where our corn crop requires us to run propane dryers later in the season. And I've had the question from homeowners saying, what if there's a shortfall for homeowners? Can you help us understand, how can you prioritize that? And I think there's some rules where you have to, right? Home heating versus corn dryers, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's a very rare and extreme situation.
Right.
So definitely not the norm. And we have not come anywhere close to that over the past 6-7 years. But that is true. There is a priority. However, there's always supply. It just depends how far we have to go to get it. So most of the propane that we source is made and produced right here in North Dakota or into Minnesota. So that's where our supply of propane comes from. Now, in the event of extremely high demand, right? So come October, end of October, and crop drying is going crazy and a ton of propane is being consumed, supply can shorten. And then if we hit a extremely cold November and people fire up their furnaces, yeah, there can be shortages. So it just boils down to how far we have to go. So we've had to travel into Kansas, Nebraska, Kansas to get propane and haul it all the way back here just to keep our customers with product, whether it is crop drying or home heat.
This may be a question that just occurred to me, and I apologize if you're unprepared to answer it. Go ahead and tell me you can't. But with current market situations, if we were to have, like you said, all of a sudden something's in the wrong place, it's not about running out, but logistics are challenging. Can you pick up product like in Manitoba because it's a shorter haul? But do tariffs affect that and impact that tremendously right now? Is there anything there you can speak to?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in that. However, the tariff situation has caused a whole bunch of uncertainty in the marketplace. So for example, we are looking at our supply for this fall and this winter. So what we have to do is we have to look ahead into the next heating season, crop drying and heating season, and start to predict how much supply do we need to have locked up in order to keep our customers with their product. And we do source quite a bit of propane from Canada. So with this whole tariff conversation and the on again, off again, it's been very confusing for not only us and the people we buy product for, but just general in the marketplace. So there's a lot of uncertainty around that. And at first there was the fear that, yes, this is going to drive up the cost of propane coming out of Canada. But then President Trump kind of removed the stipulation from energy, and that changed the equation. And I think we're still in this kind of uncertain time of, well, what is ultimately going to happen? But I think as we progress, the fear of tariffs over the energy sector is beginning to lessen.
Okay, not going to lie. In the overall scheme of things, I'm just a cheap consumer. I want to buy at the best price. And maybe this is my old-fashioned thinking, but how come I can't have just a tank of gasoline at my own house? There's probably some rules about homeowners having too much bulk product on hand, isn't there?
Well, believe it or not, the norm 20, 25 years ago was heating your home with heating oil, which is diesel fuel. So you would have a 250-gallon tank in your basement. And yes, we've had to clean up some spills from people's basements, unfortunately.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
So there are rules, and each city governs those rules a little bit differently. But generally, it's all about a containment issue, because what are people concerned about? It's a hazmat material, and they're concerned about the environmental impacts of a hazmat material reaching essentially groundwater, right? So it really boils down to what type of containment you have. So when we place a storage tank in the city of Fargo, let's say, for a construction company,
Hmm.
there's the same requirements there that a homeowner would have to have. And that's just double wall containment. And the permission and the insurability that this product will not spill. So
Okay.
don't quote me on the local government regulations because I think those are a little more sticky. So no, I
Uh-huh.
don't think it's quite proper for any homeowner to go to get a 500-gallon tank and plop it on their driveway.
As much as I might want to. Uh, Justin, I really appreciate you letting me ask all the oddball, off the wall questions that I've been thinking about since I was a little kid. And one thing that I was always told was if you pull up to a fuel station and the transport is offloading and filling a storage tank, particularly an underground tank, don't fill gas right then because when all of that product is going in, it can stir up any sediment that's in the tank. Can I ask if that's true or false? Is there anything that I should think about there? Or really, for Kotaco, you guys probably have newer storage facilities and don't worry about that.
Yeah, I think it's becoming less and less of a concern because number one, the quality of the product continues to improve, right? So that there is a fear of having that extra sediment being stirred up and that clogging a fuel filter, so to speak. But we also have to think
Hmm.
about the filtration systems that are already in place as our transports offload and as a car, for example, fills up their tank. So there's multiple filtration points that funnels out that sediment. So I'm not going
Uh-huh.
to sit here and say don't ever worry about it. There's a multiple factors that are involved in it, but it's really not a concern. I've not had one single issue in 11 years of somebody's car fuel filter getting messed up or something with their gas happening because of that situation.
You have been so helpful in answering so many of my crazy off the wall questions today because it's Friday and I'm just pretty much, free thinking whatever might be rolling around in my head. But the last thing I wanted to check with you on, besides bulk fuels, so gasoline, diesel, you specialize in propane handling. Um, what about bulk oil for a farm shop? If someone is looking at, because they do their own on farm oil changes, that type of thing, can you handle those types of things as well at Kotaco?
We absolutely can. Yes, we have a plethora of different brands and products, and we do specialize in bulk oils across the board. Yes.
Well, there's a lot of things that you need to keep a farm running, and one of them is just a good supplier. And it sounds like Kotaco Fuels would be the first choice to consider. So, where can people find you if they want to reach out and visit more about what you offer as far as services and products?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. The best place to find us is go online, kotacofuels.com.
Oh, Justin, thank you. Today has been just a lot of fun for me. I really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's been a blast. Off the wall Friday, I guess.
It kind of is. So this maybe should worry you about the next time you join me on air, but I bet we'll make it go well.
Oh, this is fantastic. I love it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, you're going to see the Kotaco website on our screen for our live stream, so you can pick up all their information. Don't forget to reach out to them for your needs, and stay tuned. I get to talk about the weather, and I've got some headlines. Looking forward to them. All right, for all of you sunshine lovers, it looks like the weather is going to hold true to you. Today, we're looking at a high of about 67 degrees. We're getting close, not quite there yet, but maybe by that high point of the day at 3 o'clock, we do nail it. And same weather tomorrow. Upper 60s, about 67 for a high. Looks like it'll be mostly sunny. We do have a little bit of a chance of rainfall Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We'll see where that leads, but got a nice warm up, so by midweek next week we'll be mid 70s, even pushing 80 degrees. Looking forward to seeing it. And again, that sunshine is helping us dry out and get everybody back into the swing of things for spray season. Oh, if you have one of those fields that's incredibly wet and you're having trouble getting out there, you might want to give a call to Hire Drone Service. They are out of Leonard, North Dakota. They are an agri-drone service, and they will help you out getting whether it's fungicides and other things on the field where they need to be, because we do know that some fields are going to be so wet and hard to get into. Our best opportunity is by air. Now, drones are a little bit new to the region. We've been very familiar with aerial application over the years, but I see more and more drone opportunities, and Hire is at the forefront of that. They've been working with their drones for a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer by now. And if you've got questions, they are happy to answer them. You can certainly talk to the folks over at Hires and make sure we get things lined up best possible for you. In fact, it won't be too long. They'll be in studio to visit with us. And as you heard in one of our commercials, it's not too long until we get to Hefty Seeds Ag PhD Field Day. That'll be in Baltic, South Dakota, the last Thursday of July. That feels like it's a long time away, about 2 months, but it's going to come faster than you think. And I'll be there, so I look forward to visiting with those who attend. Shake hands, say hi. It's going to be a great day in the sunshine as well, I bet. At least I'm banking on sunshine. I've been there in the rain, too. Well, now, there's so many things to bring up, but one that I thought would be sort of a fun fact as we get ready to go to our Memorial Day weekend is that in 1962, the largest grain elevator in the world was in Hutchinson, Kansas. And that was a title that was since lost to the DeBruce grain elevator in Wichita, Kansas. Now, the original elevator at Hutchinson held just over 18 million bushels. All right, Addison, how many more bushels do you think that the DeBruce elevator in Wichita might hold today? Any guesses?
At least 3, maybe
Well, at
4.
least 3. It's 4. So the elevator now, the DeBruce grain elevator again at Wichita now holds 22,400,000 bushels. What this means is that it holds enough wheat to supply the flour for all the bread consumed in the United States for 6 weeks. And the elevator is over a half a mile long. That is a large facility,
I
ladies and
wasn't.
gentlemen.
I
One
wasn't
big
too far
one.
off.
Your math is great. Excellent skills. Thank you, sir.
You want to tell my math teacher that from high school?
No, because you'd have to tell mine the same thing, and he's never going to believe that my math skills are better now. Not in a million years. So I will say, going into the Memorial Day weekend holiday, I thought it was very fitting to talk about the National Farmer Veteran Coalition. They have announced over $460,000 in awards and equipment that will be given to veteran farmers from across the U.S. 136 farmers representing 38 states and all branches of service have received awards anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. This helps them purchase items they have identified to make the largest impact in moving forward on their farm or in their agribusiness. Many of these are serving a farm to table situation, maybe CSAs. There could be also smaller specialty markets that are being serviced, but nonetheless, these awardees have been helped out with donations coming from places such as Tractor Supply, the Kubota Geared to Give program, as well as several others. And so it's been an exciting opportunity to watch since this fund was established in 2011, and they've given out $5.5 million in grants to over 1,300 farmers. If you're interested in more information, you can go to farmvetco.org. Also, you could just drop an email to me, ag@flagfamily.com. I'm not afraid to help you find that link as you might need it. Again, ag@flagfamily.com. Summertime, a lot of kids are getting out of school. They are thinking about, and as parents, you're thinking about, what are my kids going to do all day? Well, the North Dakota 4-H camp registration is open. And there's a lot going on. Maybe livestock camp is the one that you want to be a part of. There's also the beginner outdoor skills camp. Adventure camp has activities that include kayaking, archery, and STEM projects. They say archery, and I think that's a wonderful skill, but I still have some images of like lawn darts in my head and just realizing that that's not my sport. So God bless them for doing this and being safe while they do. That's outstanding. There's also the Energy Exploration Camp and the Careers and Tech Ed Camp. There's a lot going on. This is the 4-H camp at Washburn, North Dakota. It's an excellent facility. I have been to that facility for a variety of other things. Take the time to check out their signups for kids. Well, also, let's not forget what I think is probably one of the top stories right as we get into the Memorial Day weekend holiday, especially because it's the running of the Indy 500. But before that will be today the running of the Weenie 500. There are 6 Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles that are going to be racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This will include the Chai Dog from the Midwest, the New York Dog from the East, the Slaw Dog from the South, the Sayonara, the Chili, and the Seattle Dog. So they're bringing all of their Wienermobiles from Oscar Mayer to the track to set them off to the race and kick off the unofficial start of summer. By the way, the winner of the Indy 500 will be rewarded with milk. It's a long-standing tradition. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Memorial Day. A salute to all who have served and what they have done for our country. Jay Thomas is next.